Got you.
So we're going to have a higher degree of but just so, like if you guys have ever lived in Miami, you're going to meet more narcissists per capita if you live in Miami than if you live in Secaucus, New Jersey. And I think that's part of the reason why. So
I've always said like there would be no Kevin Samuels if he didn't have an audience of people that knew that they were about to get cooked. Yeah. And like, nah, I'm gonna be the one to prove them wrong. It's like, fam, you're talking about an image consultant, and then you're literally saying, hey, how do I look? And he's gonna tell you exactly what you don't want to hear.
Yeah.
And then Fresh and Fit, same thing. It's like they literally have women going on the show, and it's like, you know exactly what this is. If you have a risk of having your image tainted, why would you even go on in the first place? And that could be not selection bias, but like
it certainly is. I know a girl who got 2,000 followers on her only 2,000 subscribers. That's not like getting 2,000 followers on Instagram. 2,000 subscribers on OnlyFans. That's $50,000. That's $100,000 they got from going on Fresh and Fit.
Oh,
that's the thing.
God.
Like that much money
from going on there.
From going on there. Yeah. But shout out to Sarita.
So the Red Pill audience is actually
they're the ones that are buying the OnlyFans.
Again. Let's do this. Ready? Let's talk about this. Christ, Christianity, the church. Those are three different things, right? Christ does this. Christianity, we have the Inquisitions and we have the Crusades. We don't put that on Christ. It's the same type of situation here. We can't put that on these guys are sitting there. I had Miss Nevada on my podcast. Look it up and see if I'm lying. She's on my podcast talking about all this stuff, and guys are calling her a 304 and say she's ran through. She's Miss fucking Nevada. It was incredible. This girl's like the salt of the earth, incredibly gorgeous, beautiful, hyper educated. And they were saying these names. These men are hurt, but these men are not Rollo Tomasi. Rollo Tomasi, it represents something else. They started something and it just goes out of imagine Fight Club, at the point when all of a sudden he starts traveling around and everyone knows his name and he's like kind of freaking out. It's probably happened to you with your podcast. You probably travel somewhere and like, how the fuck do all these people know who I am? It's like that kind of situation where it just gets completely out of control. Sure. And now people are taking what he's saying and he's being held. Consider this. We're having a debate about Republicans and Democrats. And in the debate, we take the most right-wing, boony, crazy conservative who's talking about aliens that live under Antarctica and that the Nazis used to have a space program. And we say, this is what regular Republicans look like.
I get your point.
But you can't do that. So when you do that, it gets a little crazy.
I wasn't doing that. Yeah. I find it interesting that if generally speaking, Rollo, yourself, myself, Street would say porn's a net negative.
Yeah.
It's not helpful. I'm saying, isn't it ironic that the if we're prescribing these things, yet there are people who are a part of this tribe, yet consuming these things at incredible rates.
We're talking about the
OnlyFans thing.
But like again,
prescribing, saying porn is bad.
Again,
we all agree porn is bad.
Christ, Christianity, and then the church, right?
Yes.
So in Christianity, 68% of men who are Christians are claiming that they're addicted to pornography. Like, so it doesn't necessarily, because we're doing that, fix all the problems. Christianity to me is a vector. It is a vector to go to find your morality. And if you believe in the resurrection, this is a vector that you're supposed to travel on to go in that direction. All of us have fallen short though, even in Christianity. Just like physics is also a vector. We're not going to, I don't understand all of the measures of quantum mechanics, but we're going in this vector. Just like if I want to become wealthy, Jeff Bezos is a vector that I travel towards, but I never quite get there. Does that make sense? So I think that's the way we have to look at it. So
you're saying red pill is a vector towards becoming porn-free.
So here's the problem:
muscle, money, gains. It's the vector that you want people to get to. But in the process, they're gonna consume a lot of porn.
Most of them are going to screw up
and be into OnlyFans.
But they don't have the opportunity that we have. Like, guys, we're interesting enough to be on a podcast. We all probably make at least a middle class out. Do you understand that the five of us in this room are the wealthiest, part of the top 1% of wealthiest humans that ever lived on this planet? We live after the advent of antibiotics. We can fly in a plane for less than $500 at 420 knots and get anywhere we want. We live in a time where we can literally look up facts from anything. We have the entire world on my phone in the speed of light. We've done the incredible things. We have a James Webb telescope. We can actually map out planets that are in other star systems. Incredible time that we live in. And so we take this for granted, and we don't come to the realization that over half the planet we live on lives on $1 a day. Now that's an extreme example. We're talking about Haiti and Africa, but there's this middle class group of people that live in Alabama, that live in Mississippi, and they don't have any shot. And so when they hear you talk about this, all like women do this or that, they're looking for a black and white excuse because their life sucks. And so what they need,
they lie to the comments section.
Again, when I'm trying to move a huge rock, I need a huge explosion, and that's what the rational male was. It was an explosion to move that rock.
But in the instance of like we're talking about pornography, right? obviously, I mean, I would assume you've done some studies on how it.
Not only we had Sterling Cooper on last week, and he is a porn star who said men should stop watching pornography.
Yeah, it's bad.
A porn star said
it literally reshapes the physicality of your brain.
Talking about that
and so how because here's my question: how do we acknowledge the fact that digitally looking at something and then knowing that it has physical consequences on your body,
neurochemical consequences?
Absolutely. Yes. But then we encourage spinning plates.
Okay, so this is a great question. Two different things. So first off, if anybody has any question about that, look up
how does that correlate?
Look up the Andrew Huberman podcast where he's discussing this with Joe Rogan, and he talks about pornography causes your dopamine receptors to reset at like a base level of 10, and so you're not able to do that. Spinning plates is different. So here's the thing, right?
I explained it earlier.
You had mentioned this before. You had said something to the effect of Rollo saying to sleep with all the women you can, or Fresh and Fit says sleep with all women you can.
I think I said that word for word.
It was pretty much word for word. It's like all the women you can, or as many women as you can. So in this situation, it was a reaction. It was a reaction video you did to the Saucecast.
Yeah, different video.
Yeah, it might not.
So the thing is,
that's how it's interpreted. That's how it's communicated.
So yeah, correct. So no one's specifically prescribing all the women you can, but the ability to date and be with multiple women is more attractive to women than it is from women towards men. Does that make sense? Like one of the discussions you had about virginity. Virginity, there's a study done by Dr. David Buss in 1989 with 37 different cultures, where virginity is much more cherished from women than it is for men. And for men, it is almost not cherished at all. In fact, in most cultures, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with this, but in most cultures, when men are virgins past the age of like 25, it is looked very oddly by most women, right? And so because of that,
true.
When the studies that you talked about,
He's
a virgin. But the issue is when you have that situation, and then the studies, when we'll bring up I don't know if Donnie wants to bring up the chart, the one that you've referred to several times, where people definitely are happiest when they're virgins and they get married. But what happens over time is that you're going to see that for men, it actually levels out, and once they get above 10 partners, it goes up. Because for men, it even says it in the study. For women, it definitely has an effect on their ability to maintain a long-term partnership, but it does not have the same effect for men. So when you were talking before about we should stay virgins before we get married, that from not from a religious standpoint, not from a moral standpoint, from a psychological standpoint, has an effect on women, and it does not seem to have anywhere near the same effect on men.
I don't know what you're referencing there specifically, but I will say this: if we agree that is optimal for people to have the least amount of partners going into a marriage, which most people want to get married.
From a psychological standpoint, the science would say for women, but not necessarily for men.
So if men are encouraged to save the girl that's going to have sex with you for Saturday, and the girl that's not going to have sex with you, date her on Tuesday. This is directly off of the Rational Mill. Let me finish my point.
Yeah. It's always
aren't we? It's not out of context. He literally says that in the book. He says that specifically in the book.
Keep going.
Okay.
Keep going.
And you're saying it's good for women to be virgins, right?
I don't know necessarily that's virgin.
Right?
So this, if we can pull it, if you want to pull up the chart, is that the one you referred to? We got the light in the way.
So
can you see that? Roll? Can you see that?
He's trying to put it up on the screen so everybody can.
Oh, okay.
My point is, men being encouraged to not increase their body counts. I'm not saying implicitly encouraged, indirectly encouraged, with quotes like that.
I think it's encouraged for them to date.
Yeah, date. I don't have a problem with men dating.
Yes.
Go date.
Spin plates. That's the
spinning plates in that specific sentence is not out of context. That's what he says.
That's what they say.
We are then racking women's body counts up because men are deemed more attractive, which is doing more harm to ultimately women who will get married and not be sexually satisfied in a marriage.
Negative to society.
What do you think? Go ahead.
Spinning plates is not sleeping with them. It's just dating non-exclusively.
Which I have no problem with.
That's all it is.
But that's not what the book says.
I'm just telling you right now.
Okay, I'm telling you what the book says. He's prioritizing women who sleep with you to weekends.
Okay, so if a girl sleeps with him, she decided to do that, right?
Sure.
Okay, so if a girl's not sleeping with him, she decided to do that, right?
Sure. Absolutely.
Whose decision was it? Hers or his?
Both of their decisions.
You're saying that racking up.
We're not saying it's forced.
No. I know that. You're saying that women's body count is going up. They're running through women. Whose decision is it to sleep with the guys?
It's a mutual decision.
At the end of the day, whose decision is it?
She's intimating that it's the woman's decision.
It's the woman.
It's both people's
Otherwise, it
decision.
would be.
But going back to
that's
what
like he wants it, she gets
hold
it.
on,
For sure.
yeah.
Keep going.
But the point is, if she wants it,
keep going.
The idea that women wanting to go have sex with high status men and these men saying no, while I understand from a Christian standpoint perspective why you might think that is not realistic, or rather, it's not practiced. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying.
Drake is not a virgin. I think we can all agree, right?
We
all know Drake's not a virgin. But
Drake's also addicted to porn.
But Drake may have grown up in the church. But what happened was Drake's stimulus is, I got all this money, I got all this muscles, and these girls are throwing it at me.
Sure.
And because of that, the likelihood of these men being like, well, I'm just not going to have sex with any of these women who are coming after me,